Narcissistic husband lying and gaslighting when caught overspending on shopping. Do you dread reviewing monthly finances with your spouse? Does it always devolve into confusion, frustration, and arguments no matter how diplomatically you approach it? If you're met with denial, vagueness, and blame whenever you try to gain clarity on where all the money is going, you may be up against a narcissistic financial abuser. In this video, we'll uncover the disturbing lies and gaslighting narcissistic husbands employ to conceal reckless spending. When overspending is discovered, they'll go to shocking lengths to avoid taking accountability and betraying shared finances. Through false narratives, deflection, and distortion tactics, they maintain a facade of control while furthering the financial abuse. As this video covers the troubling lies and manipulation narcissistic husbands employ around finances, I want to note an important point. If you have chosen to stay in a relationship with a narcissistic partner, it is possible to improve the situation, even if they are unlikely to change completely. Watching the video.
How to help your narcissistic partner heal and change for a better marriage.
Can provide guidance on setting boundaries and finding strategies to cohabitate more peacefully. The link to that insightful video is in the description below. While narcissists may resist change, implementing structured expectations for respectful discussion of finances and other matters can at least improve the dynamic. Knowledge of their typical tactics allows you to recognize and respond to manipulation firmly yet calmly. You deserve to be heard and participate equally in financial decisions affecting your life. With the right tools, you can advocate for your needs while managing the relationship. Feel empowered to create the healthiest situation possible. Stay tuned as we walk through concrete examples of the illogical statements and massive reality distortions narcissistic husbands rely on to obscure financial infidelity. Recognizing these underhanded tactics is key to protecting yourself and breaking free from financial gaslighting in your marriage. You have a right to transparency and truth when it comes to shared funds. Let's reclaim it.
Denying overspending irresponsible nature, narcissistic husband.
Narcissists will outright deny or minimize how much they actually spent to avoid taking responsibility for overspending. A wife notices multiple new expensive purchases her narcissistic husband couldn't afford on their budget. She confronts him about the spending.
I saw your credit card statement. You spent over $2,000 last week alone on stuff we don't need. How could you blow so much money?
What are you talking about? I only bought necessities we needed for the house. Barely spent $200. You're exaggerating, as always.
By firmly denying how much he actually spent, the husband avoids accountability for overspending and makes his wife question her perception of the amounts charged.
I know for a fact you bought that new TV and speaker system alone was over $1,500. Stop lying about how much you're wasting.
I can't believe after all these years you still try to control my spending and obsess over every little thing I buy. You really need to get a handle on your insecurity.
By accusing his wife of trying to control his spending, the husband deflects blame back onto her to obscure his financial irresponsibility and continue avoiding accountability.
Rewriting financial history is masterstroke of narcissistic husband.
Narcissists will completely rewrite past spending to justify overspending when confronted. A husband has drained the couple's savings on impulse purchases. His wife confronts him with bank records showing large ATM withdrawals.
Our savings is totally empty from your reckless spending. The bank records prove you withdrew thousands in just a month.
I was transferring money to build up our retirement fund, not spending it. Our savings have been growing. You must have those reports confused with another account.
By falsely claiming he was saving rather than spending the money, the husband completely alters history to justify draining their savings account without taking responsibility.
I confirmed with the bank these were spending withdrawals, so stop lying. You emptied our savings on just yourself with nothing to show for it.
I can't keep having the same fight over confusing paperwork. All this stress you create over finances is exactly why I've needed some personal retail therapy in the first place.
By claiming past arguments justify his spending, the husband continues rewriting history to paint himself as the victim needing relief rather than acknowledging his financial betrayal.
Projecting blame for overspending is choice narcissistic husband makes.
Narcissists blame outside pressures or their partner for their own choice to overspend. A husband maxes out credit cards on personal expenditures without consulting his wife. She confronts him about being left with only minimum payments.
How could you max out all of our cards on your own spending without even consulting me? We can barely cover the minimums now.
Your chronic anxiety about money forces me to take matters into my own hands. Sometimes I just have to treat myself when I'm so stressed.
He justifies overspending by claiming his wife's reasonable financial concerns force him to make poor decisions, removing his own responsibility.
Don't blame me for your choice to be financially reckless without my input. We're supposed to discuss major purchases, not hide them.
If you were willing to compromise on purchases, I wouldn't feel forced to use credit behind your back. This controlling attitude of yours drives me to it.
By continuing to blame her attitude for his choices, he paints himself as the victim of her control versus admitting his deceitful overspending was the real betrayal.
Minimizing overspending lies by Narcissistic Husband.
When caught overspending, narcissists downplay costs and impact to avoid fallout from financial betrayal. A wife finds $5,000 in charges at luxury clothing stores on the couple's credit card. Her narcissistic husband denies blowing so much.
I added up your secret shopping sprees on our card. You spent $5,000 in a month on clothes. How could you betray our trust like that?
It was barely $1,000, all on personal necessities for work. You're completely overreacting over a few small purchases.
By greatly minimizing the amount to trivialize his reckless spending, the husband attempts to downplay the significant financial betrayal.
I have the statements right here. Stop lying about thousands wasted on luxury items we can't afford. This is a huge breach of trust.
I don't know why you tried to control my reasonable spending, then blow it out of proportion. You're clearly the one with issues here.
By continuing to minimize his charges and shift blame, the husband avoids accountability for extensive overspending and its impact.
Rewriting shared financial goals on his own by Narcissistic Husband.
Narcissists alter previously agreed upon financial goals to justify reckless spending. A husband spends the couple's down payment savings on a luxury car. His wife confronts him about reneging on their plans.
How could you spend our down payment money without consulting me? We planned to buy a house.
We talked about putting that off since we might move soon anyway. I contributed to that savings too, so I can decide how to use it.
By rewriting their mutual financial plan, the husband justifies taking shared savings for personal gain and betrayal of their agreement.
We explicitly agreed to buy this year. You can't rewrite our plans to hide your reckless spending betraying our goals.
I'm tired of you incorrectly remembering discussions just so you can control me. I used our money in a valid way.
By accusing his wife of remembered incorrectly, the husband dismisses tangible evidence of his betrayal and continues justification.
Projecting own overspending on us by Narcissistic Husband.
When caught overspending, narcissists accuse their partner of the exact same reckless spending to divert blame. A wife finds unexplained cash withdrawals from their account by her narcissistic husband. He denies spending it.
I see the ATM withdrawals. You're clearly spending cash, so I won't notice. Where did $500 in cash go this week?
You must be the one withdrawing and hiding purchases since you scrutinize all my spending. I contribute plenty to our finances.
By baselessly accusing her of the exact spending recklessness he's guilty of, the husband deflects blame from his own deceitful overspending.
I have the detailed bank logs right here. Just stop the lying and be accountable for blowing so much undisclosed cash.
The logs must be wrong then, because I know I'm not making secret withdrawals or spending. Clearly, you don't trust reality.
By denying documented withdrawals despite evidence, he continues projecting his own actions onto his wife and gaslights her perception.
Justifying luxury purchases as investment by Narcissistic Husband.
When caught overspending, narcissists insist luxury discretionary buys were vital necessities. A husband spends thousands furnishing a recreational man cave without consulting his wife. She sees the credit charges.
You spent $5,000 on a man cave? We're struggling just to afford utilities. How could you justify that?
Having my own space to unwind is crucial for my mental health. This was an important investment I'm entitled to.
Nee portrays his lavish, unnecessary spending as filling a vital need rather than admitting his betrayal of shared finances.
You call that a need? This was reckless spending, betraying our very limited budget, not a justified purchase.
Everything I buy fulfills my needs. Stop belittling my financial decisions just because you fail to understand my needs.
By continuing to insist any desires he spends on are needs, he avoids taking responsibility for overspending on luxuries.
Implying oversight is abuse/control by narcissistic husband.
Narcissists accuse partners asking for financial transparency of abuse or control to deflect accountability for overspending. A wife asks to see her narcissistic husband's credit card statements after he exceeds their budget. He refuses and accuses her of control issues.
I just want to overview our statements to get on the same page about where our money is going. This feels reasonable.
You demanding invasive access to my personal finances is absolutely unreasonable and controlling. I won't enable your trust issues.
By framing reasonable oversight as abusive invasion of privacy, he shames her for expecting accountability to obscure his overspending.
Asking for transparency about shared money is completely valid. Refusing basic oversight while overspending is financial abuse.
How dare you falsely accuse me of abuse just because I won't enable your obsessive control over my reasonable spending? You are out of line.
By accusing her of abuse when confronted, the husband continues obscuring his own financial infidelity while vilifying her valid concerns.
Exaggerating contributions by virtue of narcissistic husband.
Narcissists overstate personal financial contributions to rationalize reckless spending. A husband spends lavishly on personal trips, though his wife is the breadwinner. When she expresses concern over funds spent, he cites his own contributions.
I'm worried about affording bills when you're spending thousands on extravagant trips. Can we discuss shared priorities?
You act like you're the only one contributing, when I make major financial sacrifices too. I deserve to treat myself sometimes.
By exaggerating his contributions, he implies he's entitled to overspend while dismissing her concerns over their limited means.
You work part-time minimum wage. I make 90% of our income. You know we can't afford these trips.
I contribute by doing most of the housework. My non-monetary efforts have huge value. Stop reducing me to just a dollar amount.
He continues exaggerating nebulous financial contributions to obscure the reality of their incomes and justify overspending.
Labeling valid budget concerns cheap, selfish side of narcissistic husband.
Narcissists portray their partner's valid concerns over shared finances as merely being cheap to invalidate them. A husband wants to book an extravagant vacation, exceeding their budget. His wife asks to consider a more affordable trip.
This trip is 3x our budget. Could we find something more reasonably priced to compromise on?
You claim you want financial compromise, but you're just using money as an excuse to be cheap. Loosen up, you only live once.
By painting her completely valid concern as petty frugality, he dismisses her needs and continues reckless overspending.
Basic budget awareness isn't cheap. It's financially responsible. Let's find a trip we can actually afford.
You're clearly determined to penny pinch any joy out of life. I deserve this trip, and will just put it on credit since you're so uptight.
He continues framing logical financial concerns as joyless penny pinching, thereby rationalizing financially betraying her to overspend.
Projecting hidden spending through deflection by narcissistic husband.
Narcissists deflect accusations of hidden spending by baselessly accusing their partner of the same thing. A wife notices money withdrawn from marital accounts by her narcissistic husband. He denies spending it.
Are you secretly spending cash so I can't track your overspending? Just admit it.
Obviously, you are the one withdrawing cash and hiding purchases since you obsess over my normal spending.
By falsely accusing her of his own spending deceit, the husband deflects his financial infidelity onto the wife.
I have our detailed bank records right here. Just be transparent about where the money is going.
You must have falsified those records to frame me. I won't stand here and be falsely accused of your spending habits.
By denying documented withdrawals and projecting them, he dodges accountability for hidden overspending while vilifying his wife.
Projecting financial irresponsibility by narcissistic husband, but accuses partner.
Narcissists deflect accusations of overspending by falsely accusing their partner of the same financial irresponsibility. A husband spends marital money on sports memorabilia in secret. When confronted, he denies it.
I saw the $2,000 in charges for autographed jerseys. Just admit you secretly spent our bill money on sports stuff?
You obviously bought this stuff to frame me. You're always irresponsibly exceeding our budget, not me.
By falsely accusing her of his overspending, the husband deflects his financial betrayal.
Here are the detailed records clearly showing why you made those purchases. Stop projecting your spending onto me.
You must have forged that documentation to cover your own reckless spending. I won't be gaslit over your purchases.
By denying documented evidence and continuing to accuse his wife, the husband evades accountability while vilifying her.
Pretending to contribute by exaggerating is skill of narcissistic husband.
Narcissists claim they contribute to justify overspending, but fabricate or exaggerate their financial contributions. Narcissistic husband spends lavishly from marital funds on himself. His wife asks him to stay within their budget.
Can you please wait on non-essentials until we catch up on bills? We're really strapped this month.
I put plenty into our account through my business ventures. I am entitled to invest in myself.
By exaggerating his financial contributions from vague business ventures, he portrays overspending as deserved while dismissing her budget concerns.
You mean your multi-level marketing side hustles that lose money? Our budget is clear we can't afford this right now.
I work hard on those businesses constantly. Stop belittling my contributions just because you only value traditional income sources. I've earned this.
Despite fabricated contributions, he continues justifying overspending as reward for his non-existent financial sacrifices.
Undermining their judgment how low narcissistic husband can go.
Narcissists imply their partner's objections to overspending stem from ignorance or jealousy to dismiss valid concerns. A wife confronts her narcissistic husband about spending their mortgage payment on sports tickets. He implies she just doesn't understand his needs.
You gambled our entire mortgage payment on season tickets. We could lose the house. How could you betray our family like this?
You just don't understand how important it is for me to unwind with sports. I contribute plenty financially. Let me make my own spending judgments.
By implying his wife fails to grasp his needs, he dismisses her fully justified shock and concern over his reckless overspending.
I understand completely you chose a game over our stability. We need that money for housing. Your spending judgment is clearly reckless.
You're just jealous. I can afford to enjoy myself when you penny pinch. I deserve to spend on things I enjoy without judgment.
He continues undermining her legitimate objections and right to input on large financial decisions, framing her as petty and lacking context.
Trivializing overspending is downplay by narcissistic husband.
Narcissists minimize reckless spending as inconsequential to downplay the betrayal of exceeding budgets. A husband spends hundreds weekly at bars without discussing it with his wife. When she objects, he acts like it's negligible.
You've spent $1,000 this month on random bar purchases alone? We're struggling to afford groceries. Where is this money coming from?
It was barely a few casual nights out for fun. No need to obsess over inconsequential socializing charges.
Me, by framing his extensive expenditures as trivial casual charges, he diminishes the significance of his overspending, betraying their tight budget.
That is not inconsequential or just socializing when we're in dire straits. You betrayed our family with reckless spending.
You really need to lighten up and stop micromanaging every minor entertainment purchase. I'm allowed to enjoy myself.
Me, he continues dismissing extensive unauthorized spending as petty entertainment charges rather than recognizing the grave financial betrayal. I hope these realistic conversation examples shed light on the false narratives narcissistic husbands rely on around finances. Recognizing their go-to tactics of denial, vagueness, and projection can help you stand firm rather than getting disoriented. Knowledge is power. When he denies, deflects, and distorts, see it for what it is and attempt to manipulate control. You deserve financial transparency and an equal partnership. If you're already on the path of healing, be sure to monitor your self-talk and check out this video.